Okay, so once again, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining another session of Azure Power Lunch. Um, as you know, that we record these calls and we place our recordings on our YouTube channel. If you are not comfortable with it, it's a good time to drop off. And this call is joined by our Microsoft team members as well as from our customers and partners. And our topic of today is how you can modernize your your SOC. Using Microsoft Sentinel. So here is a quick agenda. We're gonna look at some of the key Microsoft Sentinel capabilities, and then we are gonna take a quick lap around how those help with helping your security ops team. So that's the goal of today's discussion. As I said, please feel free to ask question in the chat window or open your mic and ask question. And mostly it's going to be demos. I have some slides, but they are mostly for um, kind of reference only. Okay, so just setting the quick context. You know, the digital state is expanding. And what I meant by that is most of the organizations are multi-cloud. Most of the organization are dealing with or using a number of SaaS application. There are users who are sitting in the corporate office working. There are users who are working from home, satellite offices spread across the globe. And at the same time, they're gathering telemetry not only from kind of just the desktops or servers, but now they're IoT devices they are managing, they're using, and they're transmitting there. So there's a lot of um, kind of areas and things to cover, and which are generating signal, and they have to make those secure. So what they should do? I mean, that kind of raise some very interesting question. How they will, first of all, how they will identify, how do you identify threats? Because unless until you see something, you cannot mitigate it. Number one. Number two, how you differentiate between what is noise and what is a real alert or real information, you know? And then how you um, automate uh, uh, responses to those threats, because not everything you gonna wake up somebody at 1 p.m. 1 a.m. in the morning and let them do this. Most of the stuff should be automated, and that's where Microsoft Sentinel comes into picture. Microsoft Sentinel is Microsoft security information and event management and security orchestration and automated response capability in the cloud. SIEM and SOAR. They are Microsoft. Basically, Microsoft has, I mean, I'm sure you know that Microsoft has experience running large scale cloud services long before the cloud name cloud existed. If you remember, Xbox Live was there many years ago that Microsoft was running that service, then MSN, Hotmail, all of these, which is now Outlook. So all of these services we were running, and we were gathering a lot of uh, information from that, a lot of signals. At the same time, a lot of threats, mitigating those threats. So all of that experience through this tool we are sharing with our customers. So basically, this is um, kind of cloud plus artificial intelligence. So what we are doing with it, we are harnessing the scale of the cloud. Okay, there is, you can ingest up to 100 petabytes of data with this tool. So there is the sky is the limit, and since Microsoft is sitting at the forefront, we are gathering intelligence about evolving threats, and we are sharing with customers, so you will get the latest and greatest information about what's out there and how to detect and mitigate it. Okay, and help you get ahead of, stay ahead of the attackers, because there's one thing, detect an attack once it already happened, because sometime the damage may be so bad that an organization may not be able to survive or it sustains significant wounds. What you want to do is stay ahead of the tracker so you can, based on the markings, based on the information that you have, you know that there is a threat. Either attack is about to happen or is it in progress, so you can stop the attackers in their uh, tracks. Okay, any questions? Okay, so here are the core capabilities. First of all, in order to properly find out what's going on, you need to have the right data. That's the data connectors come from. Okay, so um, taking a step back, Sentinel sits on top of Log Analytics Workspace Foundation. So basically, it uses the data that is in the Log Analytics Workspace and provides you the right uh, information. And we will talk about it in a second. So data connectors are the key. There are number of built-in data connectors, and we will look in the demo as well, um, that are there for first-party and third-party services. They are syslog, HTTP, and CF data connectors, and logstash data connectors available that allows you to ingest data from a variety of different sources. So once you have all that kind of 360 coverage of data, then you can find out, then you can correlate things and find out what's happening. And that's where you have then you start with visibility, start gaining intelligence, build analytics, and start hunting for based on your hypothesis to see what's going on. Is there something that is of interest or that I need to detect? So that allows you to do these kind of, Sentinel allows you to do these kind of things. And then finally, you get up to discovering incidents and then start investigating. And what is meant by incidents? Just keep in mind that Sentinel doesn't deal with alerts directly, it deals with incidents. So, what is an alert and what is an incident? Let me spend 1 minute on that. So, first of all, let's talk about event, alert, and incident. Event is something that has happened. For example, think of an office building. Somebody entering in the office building using their badge is an event. you know they entered. Somebody entering in the office building after hours is an alert why they entered. Okay, somebody entering in the supply closet during the daytime where they have stored their electronic equipment, that office, is probably an event. Somebody entering in that closet after hours is an alert. Okay, somebody leaving a building after hours is also an alert. Think of it. If you coordinate these things, that so let's say that you want to detect some uh, so what incident is, it's basically correlation of these alerts. So somebody entered at the building after hours, went to the supply closet and left. Probably there is somebody, either just, it may be just a cleaning crew, or maybe somebody is stealing those sensitive equipment. So that's where you are going to be doing hunting and discovering and things like that. And finally, automation, which is a key part of Sentinel, is creating playbooks, which is, or one of the things is you can do playbooks, which are just nothing but logic apps to automate that task. So for example, you discovered a malicious IP, you know that is trying to attack. Okay, instead of waking up an admin and looking at it, you can just block that IP, and later on, for that moment, and later on, do an in-depth analysis that did some damage or something like that. Okay, so that's some of the key capability of Sentinel. So any questions at this moment? Okay, so let's go back to the demo. I think enough with the slide. So first of all, how you will start with Sentinel. Okay, so just go into, if you go into your Azure toolbar, type in Microsoft Sentinel, and then it will show you and allow you to create an instance. And in regards to creating an instance, just keep in mind that you don't have to create an instance for your workspace, for every of your workspace. Normally, there is one instance that one main workspace, log analytics workspace that you use, and you create the Sentinel instance against it. Okay. If you have some geographical separation, like you have Europe and Asia and North America in that case, and you have privacy and data privacy rule that you have to follow, then probably you will need Sentinel in each of that location. In any case, when you create Sentinel, you have to create an, either use an existing workspace or create a new one. Okay, so that's something that you will have to do. So most organization, what they do is they already have a workspace where they are using for security purposes, and they use it for Sentinel. Okay, they build Sentinel on top of it. So Sentinel is building intelligence on top of log analytics workspace. That's what it is doing. Got it? So with that, you will create Sentinel. Just keep in mind it offers a Microsoft offers a 30 over 1 day free Sentinel trial, and you can use and you can take advantage of it. And just keep in mind, I want to show you this chart. It shows you different commitment tiers. Just keep in mind that there are Sentinel offers different tiers of data. So you have the analytics tier of your data. In that case, you can not only run, and let me show you here. Sorry. Not only you can run queries, you can build alerts and all that, and there is no limit to how many concurrent queries you can use. But then you have a basic tier on a data that you don't want to use for alerts, but you want to keep there. It is less expensive data, but you cannot raise alerts on it, and you cannot run. There is a limit to concurrent queries that you can use. Got it? So just keep that in mind. Uh, and they are charged at different pricing. Okay. And then you can archive the data as well. Just keep in mind, if you want to query that data, you have to bring it back, and you cannot query the archive data. Okay. So I just want to mention it before we jump into the rest of the stuff. So this is a kind of an instance that I have created. There is nothing much to it. This is just a reference instance. So let's go to a Sentinel instance where we have some more data. So this is kind of, and before we jump in, any questions? Okay, so this is basically a quick screenshot. This is overview how many instances there are, automation, how many action were performed, what was their severity, and all that. So that's that. But let's start with the data connectors. Okay, this is the because unless until you have data in the system, the system is kind of it doesn't don't get any benefit. Okay, so that's where these are different data connectors that are available. So let's take a look at one of those data connectors, which is Azure Active Directory. So this is the Active Directory. It is connected. This is the provider, a last log collected, all of that. And then what was the different data received? It shows you all that information, different data types. If you want to open the connector page, you can go in there. You can see what are some of the queries, what are the prerequisites that you have to do. So all of that information is available. And let us say that you want to connect a data source that you have in mind, let's say Zscaler or something. what how you go about it, one way to do is go to the content hub, because there you will find solutions, connector, workbooks, everything. As you can see, there is an AWS connector solution as well there, provided by AWS. So you can type in there, you can find whatever solution or that you are looking for and then connect to it. So for example, if I am doing a Zscaler, let's see. Yeah, so there is I mean different type of Zscaler solution. So this is the one, a Zscaler Internet Access, and I can go in there. I can manage. I think it's may already be connected, so you can take the actions and all of that. And so this is this is kind of the heart of the system. This is basically gathering the information into into Sentinel, and so that you can act upon that. Okay, so let's go back and let's take a look at some of the logs. So once we have that information, as I said before, this is built on top of um, Azure Log Analytics. So whatever information that you have there in Log Analytics, that's available as well. So if I click on, let's say, security, I want kind of are there any low responses? So this is basically, so this doesn't have any data, but let's do another query from here. These are the Let's go into the failed logins. So let's run this query. So this tells you how many failed logins are there. You can do chart. I mean, this is pretty standard log analytics stuff. So that's already there. So that foundation is there. So now let's go into something a little more interesting. So um, let's go into incidents. Okay. And what I'm gonna let the screen refresh, and I'm gonna find an incident, and let's see what we can do. So as I said before, incidents are basically a correlation of alerts. So they're different alerts, they're correlated, and that makes an incident. So that's what we are trying to see, what incidents are there. So for example, this is one incident here. This is user login from kind of a different countries within 3 hours. I mean, that's interesting. I mean, how a user is logging from different countries within 3 hours, that's kind of raised some suspicion, and that's basically um, that's what we are doing. There are 7 events, 1 alert, and so think of it. User logging from a country is an event. You log in from, let's say, US, you log in from Japan, so users logging from Japan, that's an event. But if the same user is logging from 2 different places or multiple places, that's an incident. That makes an incident. So that's what we are talking about. So this tool is smart enough to correlate and create it as an instance, and you can basically help you um, do that. So let's look at those events, and this will tell you like where they are logging in from, all that stuff. So this is basically, member. This is what their information is, where they are logging from. So you can look at all of that information. And let's go back here if we want to see view full details of this thing. We can look at that. What are the entities involved? Wonderful. Then you have to sign in again. Oh, come on. Okay, let's refresh it. Hopefully that will do the trick. Okay, so we are back. So this is, and you can click on investigate. So let's click on investigate, and that will let you do kind of, different time, what was the incident and when it happened, and let the screen refresh. Give it a second. Yeah. So basically, these are different login and each of that information. So You see, I mean, you have now information from all these sources. You can dive deep into it and investigate. Your security team basically can dive deep into it and investigate and find out what's going on and what get to the bottom of it. If it's really a threat, or maybe somebody traveled. I mean, there are some European countries where you can travel within 1 hour. So that may be the case. So in any case, that allows you to give you something to investigate, something to find out what may be happening. Okay. So give me 1 second. Okay. So that's what we call incident. So that's incident. And then uh, once you have these incidents and you can definitely do the investigation, let's spend a few minutes on automation. So how you respond to it. So there are different type of automation. You have automation rules, you have automation playbook, and now you have playbook templates. So what is the difference between playbook and playbook templates? Playbook templates are general templates. So let's say that you've created a playbook to stop to block an IP when you found it malicious. Okay, in the response that it is discovered as a malicious IP and you block the access to it. That's you want to make it available so other people can take advantage of it and they can take and modify it or if they want to. So that's kind of a reusable side. So let's take a look here. Um, let's look at the block. Sorry, mistyped block IP. So this is let's say we'll look at this one. This is a playbook, and look, we went directly into Logic App. So basically, this playbook is a uh, is nothing but a Logic app which runs to address to automatically respond to when a certain type of um, you know threat occurs. And by the way, I don't have access to everything here. I'm using a demo subscription. That's why you see these triangles, which tells me that I don't have access. But you get an idea. An event happens. You have a logic app that's listening to that event from Sentinel. Based on that event, that information that comes in, it is able to respond and take actions. That's what you want. You don't want somebody's being paged. Maybe that is also a part of it. It's maybe such a big incident that you may have to page somebody, but it allows you to address that in a automated fashion. So mitigate. So while the person get in the office or get to his machine, you are able to mitigate the issue at the moment, and then that person comes in and take a detailed look, or person come in and take a detailed look. Got it? Okay, so that's the automation piece of it. And by the way, I am going through it a little bit, kind of a very high level and very fast because we only have 30 minutes. Once I upload the slide deck, there are some resources in the end where you can go back and take a look at those videos and resources to get an in-depth look. Because to be honest, we can spend on each of these things, we can spend hours and hours. And that's because security itself and Sentinel is a very deep topic. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the uh, attack. I mean, uh, Mithra attack. I mean, this is basically a framework out there which identifies what are different attack patterns, and that is there as well. It's currently in public preview, where you can see how or what are different attack techniques and what has been discovered by this. So this is there. I mean, there are like 30 account manipulation, 18 brute force. So we can look, okay, what are these brute force attack in the last, um, you know, um, how many hours? And we can then go and look at, results of those queries and incidents and all that. So all of these, Sentinel detected that, so now it can detect those attacks and it will allow you to go into in depth of each, and you can take a look and see what's going on and how you can address that. Okay, so that's that, and then let's take a look at the workbooks. With 1 second to refresh. Okay, so this is, let's take a look at the a Active Directory sign-in logs, and they're once again workbook and templates. So same thing, you have templates that are there that you can use, and then you can take those templates and use them, modify them if you want. So templates are basically reusable workbooks, and you can take advantage of it. So so we can take it, we can look at the view saved workbook. Let's take a look, and it will tell us how is the sign in going on over time. You see, these are the sign ins, different places, all of that information is there. And they are just nothing but basically a set of KQL queries that are packaged for you to use. Location sign in, all of that thing. It's there based on geography. I mean, this is a very non-interesting report, but there can be more interesting, how many sign in failures or how many suspicious sign in, all of that. Um, uh, you can create and access it from the Sentinel workbooks. So we have 1 more minute. Any questions? Oh, it's a.
Hi, Kedar here.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah. So how the billing happens, or it's only for the workspace?
No, the Sentinel billing is there, so let's go back there. This is the cost that you're going to be paying. So this is basically, this cost includes the log workspace cost and Sentinel cost. Okay. So if, and depending on how much data you're ingesting, just keep in mind that this is the cost per day, and if you this is basically if you go with a, so this one, so plain cost is almost $5 per GB, and this is the cost if you do 100 GB per day commitment. So there are commitment levels. You can make that commitment and pay lesser price. Got it?
Yeah, thank you.
And and I will highly recommend. I will add this page into the resources link as well. Look at the basic logs and look at the um, you know um, archive as well, where you want to store the data for long-term regulatory purposes and things like that. Okay. So, any other questions, folks? I know we are right on time. Hey, if there are no other questions, thank you very much for joining, and hope to see everybody next week, and hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. And let me stop the recording.